The next composer that we're going to have is our mystery composer. And I just want to say a few words before I introduce them. This particular composer is not new to composing, but is new to ComposeCreate. And I've had my eye on this composer for a while and wanted them to be a part of us for a while, and it just worked out this year. And so we're so excited. This particular composer is especially gifted at writing music for Halloween. And those of you who will know who it is will recognize the person's name because a lot of Halloween music that you've purchased probably from other publishers have come from him. So excited to introduce to you the next composer, and it is Jason Sifford. So Jason, if you would join us. Hello and welcome.
Hello, I'm happy to be here.
You were happy that you're here. Jason's got some really cool music, and so I'm just going to let him take it away.
All right. So first, I'm so happy to be a part of the ComposeCreate world. I was telling Wendy yesterday that I have been using rhythm cups for 8 years at least. And I think I have more Diane Heidi on my shelf than Debussy. I'm pretty sure I teach her music more than like anybody else. But anyway, today I get to introduce the ominous Odes. They are 3 Halloween themed pieces for intermediate students. It really is a great holiday for music, but as Wendy mentioned earlier, there are some challenges. I think students might be a bit rusty after summer break. I know a lot of mine go on vacation and go to summer camps. And I counted, we only have 46 days to go from printer to performance, but that's okay. I've got your back, and we'll talk about the 3 ominous Odes. First up is Ghost Story. And Ghost Story, it starts off like this. I'll show you that. And
All right, there we go.
so that's the beginning of Ghost Story. And the thing that I really like about it is that I really like intermediate pieces that sound sophisticated. Don't ask me what key that's in. I don't really know. I just know that it sounds really cool. I like it because, you know, my intermediate students, I have some that are like 10 years old and some that are like 16 years old. So I always like having something that I can assign to like either age group. Now, you may have noticed that even though I have sophisticated sounds, I really like to have familiar skills with these kinds of things. Again, September's a review month. A lot of my students are a little bit rusty. And so I try to build in a lot of things that they're going to be familiar with. And so like this one, it starts with a simple ostinato pattern. It then has, you know, the scale that kind of unfolds slowly, a couple of pretty simple and easy to prepare arpeggios. And then later on in the piece, we have triads and inversions and some cadence progressions for them to practice on. The other thing that I always love about Halloween music is that it's easy to put musicianship front and center. I really like it when a piece like, you know, I don't want my students to make a crescendo just because the piece says crescendo. I like it to have like a real dramatic arc as it goes. I don't know if my keyboard is making sound anymore. Can we hear it?
We can hear the thumping of the keys, but
that is a weird shame.
Weird. Oh, there it is now.
There it is.
There we go.
All right.
Maybe turn it down just a hair.
Oh, I can turn it down just a hair. There we go. And so let me I'll play that B section that has some of the triadic motion in it and the return to the A. I think you'll hear how it has this really dramatic return. like that. All right, next up we have Boogie. Okay, I have to admit, people ask me like where I get ideas for pieces, and this was 100% a title that I came up with about 10 or 15 years ago. That's all I had. I had a title, and when Wendy asked me to write some Halloween music, I'm like, I know what one of them is going to be called. I don't know how it's going to go, but I do have the title. So I was trying to come up with something, you know, simple that had like an authentic boogie feel in the left hand. And so I came up with a nice ostinato pattern just on fifths. So we're in the key of G, which means the fifths are on white keys, white keys, white keys, and 2 black keys. And I like that because it's really easy to teach. You can teach it in like 90 seconds. And I counted, and if you can get that taught, then you actually know 40% of the left hand of the entire piece. So it's a really quick learn for that left hand part. And I know that's nice because my students, at least, like the left hand is not the best hand. I'll put it that way. Of course, it's based on the blues. And I like that because also at this time of year, a lot of my students are auditioning for jazz band. And so I need something for them to take to their audition that's kind of flashy and impressive. The melody of the piece is based on a G blues scale. And even though it's impressive, you can actually like manage it with small hands. Like I can reach a 10th, but I know that most people can't. And so the largest reach in all of this is there's one measure that has 3/7 in it. The rest of it is really compact and really super comfortable. I'll play a little bit of this and I think you'll see how it is. This one I like. It's wicked fast. You don't have to go that wicked fast. Something like that. Anyway, it's a rollicking good time, and it's, I don't know, one of my favorites to play for sure. Finally, the next one I have for everybody is called Howling Winds. For this one, I kind of went the opposite direction. I had no idea what I was going to call it, but I had an idea of how I kind of wanted it to go. Last year in my studio, I taught a few different pieces that had this pattern where the right hand kind of moves in a slow pulse, but the left hand moves in a slow pulse. The right hand kind of fills in the gaps. And it ends up being really effective, and it ends up being kind of an easy way to play a fast piece. So the pattern here, the left hand goes from A minor to C sharp minor. Don't worry, the C sharp minor bit is just a 5-finger pattern. The right hand fills in like this. And it's nice. It makes it like I said, an etude in disguise. It's really, really, really helpful for that kind of thing. And then when the right hand does get a little bit tricky, like there is a part later that you'll hear, but like if one hand is tricky, I try to make the other hand like extra simple so that it's not, you know, a really big lift. It makes it a nice feature because then it sounds hands together, but it's actually not. I was telling people the other day that like, this is my theory behind why flurry is so popular, is that it sounds really big and impressive, but actually flurry is not really a hands together piece. So you don't have to worry about coordination until the B section, which is why everybody kind of hits a brick wall at the B section when they discover that it's kind of tricky and they have to practice a lot. And speaking of practice, I know none of your students are like this, but some of mine only like to practice by playing through the piece. So in this piece, I built the practice in. So almost all of the phrases happen like 2 or 3 times in a row. So even if your student only plays through the piece, they're still getting 2 or 3 repetitions of all of those skills. I'll play a little bit from the end and you'll see how even at the very end, there's like a pattern that comes down. It happens like 7 times in a row. So even if they don't play it, except through beginning to end, they're doing it 7 times. A section returns like that. So those are the ominous odes. I'm so thrilled to like be able to show people. I've known about this for a while. I think Wendy is going to come back and tell you a little bit about them.
Yes, sir. Sorry about that. I wanted to get them showing there. So yes, I'm very excited about these odes. They're just really fun. I'm sorry I ruined the Boogie surprise. But that's my favorite piece, but I love all of them. I think your students are going to love them. And these are actually great pieces for teachers, I think, to just play for fun. Like if you do a Halloween or an autumn recital or something like that, because they're not going to take very long for you to prepare at all. And it's just a lot of fun. You can enter into the spirit of the season as well. So